Hello, my name is Maureen Pierce, and I am a student at the Bush School of Business studying finance and accounting. And today I will be presenting my findings and research of a literature review on the American agricultural ideal. So to understand my paper, we have to start with looking at an idyllic model. And you can see from the definition over here on the left that an idyllic model is a way to project utopian ideals onto reality. So essentially what we're looking at here is people look at their society and they see things that they would like to change, and they see somewhere that they would like to go. And they construct an idyllic model to understand what life could be like if the values that they desire were actually implemented and made concrete in this world. So what does this have to do with agriculture? Agriculture and the agricultural ideal are an example of an idyllic model. So people see what they think agriculture should be like, and they try to attain that. And our entire country was actually based on an idyllic model, and I focused on America for my research, but it is present in other countries, and you'll see this because the colonization of America is an example of people trying to chase after the agricultural ideal. They looked at the Europeans, looked at their own societies, and they said, we need to fix this. And then they saw America, which was an untamed land, and they decided that they would simply start over and try and make a utopia there. And the founding fathers were especially interested in agriculture as being the source of this utopia. Thomas Jefferson was especially interested, and he believed that if everyone was a self-sufficient farmer, then the country would not fail. But it didn't just stop with the founding fathers. It kept going. So 100 years later, you have the Homestead Act. The government is trying to encourage people to move out to the plains and become farmers. We have the creation of the national parks in the 1900s to draw back attention to agriculture. We have the suburban movement in the 1950s, post-World War II, and people believed that if they simply moved to the country and out of the city, then that would sort of solve their problems. The Back to the Land movement in the 1970s. More recently, we have people making urban and community gardens because though they might not be able to leave the city, they're going to bring the country to them to fix any evils that they see in the city. And then most recently, we have the organic movement, which is where instead of simply moving to the country, we have people actually trying to change the countryside to fit their mold of what they believe that the ideal should be. And so underlying all of these different idyllic models that we have are some common values, and I just highlighted the top 3 that I found in other literature that I reviewed. And number 1 was harmony with nature. So people really want our society to be close to nature and work with it instead of against it. We have strong community ties. People somehow they have this idea that if they simply go to the country and are around a rural area, then the community is just better. And then they also have this idea of food safety and living conditions. So if you're in a rural area, if there's lots of farmers, food is safer, and so are your living conditions. And there's nothing wrong with any of these ideals, and in wanting to improve society is not a bad desire. The problem is that, especially for the agricultural ideal, it's based in nostalgia, and so people see something that's not actually as true as they think it is. So if we look in the past, there's a lot of strife and suffering associated with agriculture that people aren't seeing. And they just believe, if we just went back to these days when everyone was a farmer, we'd solve all these problems. They don't recognize there were still problems when this was a reality. And this is especially a problem with politics. So laws are being created that are aimed at a certain ideal, and trying to perpetuate that ideal. But it's only hurting agriculture as it is, and it's not really helping any of these problems. And so what really needs to happen is people just need to be aware that they have these subconscious tendencies, and they need to work through them to create laws that will aid agriculture as it is today and keep it going for the generations to come. So instead of trying to change agriculture, we support it as it is, and we work to help our farmers so that agriculture can continue to benefit the entire country and help the entire society to thrive. Thank you for listening.